All right. Good evening, everybody. It is now time for our regularly scheduled November WPCA meeting. Again, we have a posted agenda. Any proposed changes to the agenda? I think we can take care of the other thing later. Hearing none. First order in item number 2, the approval of the October 15th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm
abstaining.
Right, exactly. That makes sense. So we've got 4 in favor, 1 abstained. Motion passes. All right. Old business. Item number 1 under old business, to hear, consider, and act on modifications to the WPCA funding policy approved by the Board of Finance on November 5th, 2025.
So our funding policy isn't new to our commission at all. It was first presented to our commission back in March of this past year. Since that time, it went in front of the Board of Finance a couple of times with questions and comments received. Modifications to the policy were made based on those questions and comments from the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance reviewed the modified policy and approved it at their meeting earlier this month. We already saw the modifications back at our May meeting, our regularly scheduled May monthly meeting. Just to briefly recap what those modifications entailed, it was to further clarify and define what is routine versus non-routine improvements to our system. And it was also to create an additional funding category that would be 0% funding contribution by WPCA and 100% by the town. These are projects to mitigate risk. A project of note would be remediation, investigation and remediation of the contaminated soil at our WPCF property.
We need a
Motion to approve the modifications to the WPCA funding policy, which was approved by the Board of Finance on November 5th, 2025.
second.
Second.
Comments? Questions? All in favor? Unanimous. All right. Moving on. Item number 2, to hear, consider, and act on a sewer connection request for 60 Katona Drive. This was previously heard on October 15th, 2025, with conditional decision rendered pending flow data analysis.
Well, the analysis, I guess, came back and it shows it doesn't meet.
Right.
So I didn't know the next steps, frankly.
So we just presented new rules and regulations that have not yet been approved, but I don't think that, so, I mean, yeah, based on the current capacity, there is no capacity in the existing, there's
Very limited.
very limited capacity. And so if there is no, well, once we, assuming that we approve the new rules, if there is no increase in flow for that last rule change, you would qualify for the exception, right?
We've got an increase in flow, though, of 0.003 right now, but I wanted to address that if I had a minute.
Sure, yeah.
So after I left here, I had to go to the operator, who happens to be my wife, and there's 35 kids in diapers who are not utilizing the sanitary system. So we didn't take that into consideration when doing the analysis. If that changes it, which it would then qualify, I could have that document redone by the engineer, then we would fit into your box, if that box gets approved. If that works for everybody. If there's a different way to do it, I'm all ears, because we're already connected, as we know.
Understood, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
What do you, is this a change of use or is it allowed per zone there?
We have a zoning approval. It was a special permit.
It was,
we-
because so does the they're already connected and they're already allowed so many,
Current allotment.
the current allotment is so many gallons per day.
Right.
If it's a special exception, if it's not a conversion, it's not a zone change, it's nothing, do they really have to come back to us since it's
That's a-
already existing?
I don't know the answer to that.
I would say no, in my opinion, but you may have a different opinion.
To be honest, I'm not disagreeing with that, is that why, if you just rent it out to another office user or whatever it is, they're not gonna come to us and saying, hey, I'm a new tenant.
So I don't know the answer to that, but assuming that we actually do approve that rule change, even if he does have to come back in front of us, we would then have regulatory grounds to approve it because of our new rule. Whereas before, we couldn't do it because it would be going against all of our rules. So
That's why I came back.
I don't, I mean, once we get to item number 1 under new business, we can then readdress it, but I think if you don't have to come in front of us, great, and if you do have to come in front of us, then we would have no issues with approving it then, based on those new requirements. So I guess, I don't know what the.
With the change of, with the remodified document from the engineer?
Yeah, if your proposed flows are less than or equal to the existing, then I think the question is really just, do you even have to show back up? And I would hope the answer is no, but if you do, it's just a formality and there would be no issues with granting that approval.
I would
That's
assume,
the way I
that-
see it.
to be honest with you, I would assume that if you're not increasing the flows, you're using existing flows, it's per the building.
The key is the increase in flow.
That's
And that's the
correct.
way our rules and regulations read.
Why we
It-
even had to come in front.
Correct.
So-
It doesn't, our rules and regs are not based on the zoning type.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you're proposing you have 188 kids, but you really don't have 180, you got 160 people using the bathroom, that would probably be, I don't think you'd have to come.
Shouldn't have to come in front of us.
If that's how you, I didn't want
I
to,
don't,
prefer it that way.
that's the,
one
I'm
thing
kind of
that was,
looking at it, I'm like, well, you have,
one thing that was brought up last meeting was there was usage of office space that wasn't calculated into our numbers because we didn't go that deep. We didn't think we had to. So I could come back and massage this however you want. It's, our flow isn't increased, but it's up to you guys, and that's why.
I think it's almost better just showing that you don't have an increase in
The
flow.
question is, so now that we have this modification to this, which is a new rule to begin with, just promulgated this past May, and we haven't put it into use that often yet. Does the commission want to see these exception requests come for a decision? I think the documentation is important. Do we need to see the documentation for the commission to weigh in on?
Personally, I don't think the commission needs to, if
But I think
We have
that
the
the applicant
documentation.
needs to maintain the documentation and present it as part of the application to.
Right.
I agree with
I would agree with that. I just don't think it needs our approval.
Yeah, I agree.
because It's a rubber stamp at that point anyway.
I agree with that. As long as the documentation, you guys have it.
That makes sense.
So how do we leave it?
I'd say you,
So I think you just need to work with your engineer to rework the numbers, and then at that point, if the numbers show that it's
under the,
and it's
no,
less
no,
than or equal to the current allocation, then
it's
you should rubber
.003.
stamp it and you
yeah.
don't need our approval.
Okay, and then okay. That's all I need to know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, appreciate it.
All right, regarding old business, item number 3, to hear, consider, and act on a sewer connection request for 730 and 770 Commerce Drive. Were you here for that?
I am, but if it's going to be just simply continued, you don't need to hear from me.
Didn't need, to- I mean, and if you want to continue for us to consider an act tonight, happy to do so. Otherwise, if you wanted to just table it until December, you didn't even need to show up in my.
Well, but you want to be careful. The written request I submit, I'm Bill Fitzpatrick, I represent the applicant, I'm here with Brian Carey, also representing the applicant. We simply want to respond to the town attorney's letter. We didn't get that until the 12th, it's going to take some time. The December meeting will give us the chance to adequately respond.
Yeah. Seems totally fine to me.
Great.
Since it's on the agenda, do we just have to make a motion
Motion
to
to push it to
push it
December.
to the
Yeah.
December? Okay, I make a motion to, push the, under old business, item 3, the sewer connection request of 730 and 770 Commerce Drive, to the next regularly scheduled meeting, or when the attorney has their letter back to us.
Seconded.
All in favor? All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, guys. All right, item number 1 of new business, to hear, consider, and act on proposed modifications to WPCA's rules and regulations presented roughly 18 minutes ago on November 19th, 2025 at the special meeting.
I make a motion to approve the modifications to the WPCA's rules and regulations presented at the public hearing held on November 19th, 2025.
Second?
Comment? Questions? All in favor? Unanimous. All right.
Right.
Moving on, item number 2 of new business, to hear, consider, and act on a sewer connection request, 204 Old Post Road.
Chair Chris Russo with Russo and Rizzio LLC. We're here on behalf of the applicant, if there's any other questions.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
So as of the Wright Pierce reports, they're connecting into the mains, which are at 16% and 28% general capacity. That's correct.
Those are the proposed capacities.
Yep. With a 0.8 and 1.8% increase.
Anybody have any questions? Not? Any motions?
Just to clarify you said to clarify the proposed capacity. I mean, that's after the connection.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, understood.
So existing was roughly 2% less than that.
And just so the board knows, the site currently has 2 single-family dwellings, and then it has a commercial and industrial building with an apartment on top. So all those structures are being removed, but those uses already exist on the site. They're being removed, and then it's being replaced with 8 units, which it's divided amongst 4 2-unit townhouses.
How many gallons per day are you requesting?
I think Mike Materla's on. He was our engineer on that. He'd probably be best to answer on that question. Mike, are you there? See him on the. He's muted.
Yep,
You there, Mike? They were asking what the gallons per day were.
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to go back. Wright Pierce reviewed our numbers, and what they said on the second page of their review is they said that they agree with the approach taken, assumptions made, and values presented. So they agreed with everything, but everything is according to what your people need, and we're not exceeding any capacities. And that was
You
their
want that
report
for the
dated
motion?
11/13.
Yeah, that's correct. That's what we read, and I'm trying to just get the gallons per day for the motion. And when I was just looking at your reports, is it correct at 4,764 gallons per day?
Yeah.
Consisting of
Yeah,
8
Mike,
3-bedroom
yep,
units
Mike-
in an office?
my computations that I presented to you, to your commission and Wright Pierce's report was very close. And there was a little difference, and the difference is because they use a little difference from the slope of the pipe. I use actual as-built information, and they use the GPS things. But everything was very close.
No, yeah, I'm not questioning the reports. I think the reports were both spot on. I'm just trying to look for just confirm the gallons per day that you're gonna be using, with this proposed development.
8-inch pipe, it's 4764.
It was
Yeah, that's why I see 4764.
That's correct?
yes.
12-inch pipe.
Okay.
Same flow.
Gross peak flow. What's the?
760.
Gross peak flow, okay. Okay, so I make a motion to allow the proposed development at 204 Old Post Road to connect, consisting of 8 3-bedroom units and an office with a proposed flow of 4,764 gallons per day to connect to the Fairfield sewer system. The approval will be valid for 2 years from today. After 2 years, the applicant must reapply for the extended approval. If an extension of time is requested, the WPCA at its sole discretion may require an updated sewer capacity analysis. The applicant will be required to pay the I&I fees in effect at the time the permit is issued, and the fixed I&I will be waived for the project if the permit is issued within the initial 2-year approval.
Second.
All in favor? Approved. All right.
Before we
Thank
move
you.
out of old business. I don't
Thank
think
you.
we should need a motion for agenda item 3.2. Was discussed, but I don't think we had a motion and vote were made.
Oh, yeah, we were supposed to act on that, weren't we? How do we act on that, though?
I think we're acting on the decisions that were made.
Well, we had,
So-
we had provided conditional approval. They did not meet that condition. So I guess then I'm confused
What are
because
you talking about?
we have to go back and reject it, but then
Done
he's,
it, yeah.
and he's gonna revise his flows.
I think I'm thinking you're rejecting it. He's revising his flows. He's able to utilize the modified rule and he's able to get his permit administratively.
Yeah,
Yes,
so it'd be a formality, but we do have to reject it, I guess.
I would, I would put a motion out there for 60 Katona Drive to work with the WPCF administrators to grant the sewer connection, to grant the sewer connection.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous, all right. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 3, a new business to hear, consider, and act on sewer use bill adjustments with our guest.
What is it, 4 years in the making? I've never been at one of these meetings before, so
Welcome.
finally made it.
You're welcome every month.
And yes, thank you for.
I watch all of them, but I've just never, I guess what do they say, that the first time caller, long time listener?
First time, long time.
Do we want to go through them one by one, or do I want to just take questions? I don't know how we want to do this. I'm fine either way, but.
Let's start with the first one and see how it goes.
Sure.
All right, so we have 178 Kings Highway. This one was previously reviewed last month. And it may have been my fault here, but when I submitted this documentation, there was documentation of I guess a leaking water heater in the month of January. And that may have just been misleading, but I spoke further with the owner. It's a multi-family property. I believe there's multiple units with 1 meter. And I was able to discover that along with the leaking water heater that caused a spike in January, there was also, let me see, there was a toilet flapper replacement in April of 2025, and then also a repair of a leaking radiator in June of 2025. And then when you look at the sequence of usage here, there was a big spike in. So, and one thing I wanted to clarify too that may not have been made clear is if I know it's very small here, but when you look at the bar graph, what happens is, for example, if it says the month of 1/25, January 2025, that's actually the reading that was done a couple days into January, which means it was the usage in December. So that may help when we go through a couple of the other properties, because a lot of, like, say, the April usage is actually showing on the bar graph as May of 2025 because it was read on, like, say, May 5th or 6th, but it was primarily the usage in April. So with 178 Kings Highway, what I found was they had a spike in January due to the water heater, and there was additional spike in consumption because of the toilet flapper situation as well as the leaking radiator. But then after the fact, after they've shown that paperwork, there was a not dramatic drop in usage, but a definite drop in usage throughout the summer months after the repair of the documentation. The documentation was provided of the repair. So, I'm here just to re-request this with the additional explanation and the additional documentation that there was, issues beyond just the issue that occurred in January.
So if I might ask some questions, I'm the newest member
Yep.
of this commission.
Second
newest.
Tenured.
Oh, yes, then forget the question. What rules do we operate under with respect to
Sure.
reviewing and approving?
So I did listen to last month's meeting. As I mentioned, I always listen. I have never attended. So I've been overseeing this process for about 4 or 5 years now. It used to be done through Public Works. And my understanding is there has never been any set guidelines in writing, but the guidelines that I've always followed, that's always been explained to me, is there always has to be like a story to what's happened in terms of, so we're only ever going to approve an adjustment or even give you as a commission an adjustment request if we have the documentation that tells us, okay, here's what happened, and not only here's what happened, but also did it happen within the time frame that we calculate from, so December through April, and then also was that issue, did that documentation not only it can't just be documentation of an estimate. A plumber shows up and says, here's your problem. No, we also have to know, did that plumber or contractor also repair, solve the issue? And then when we look at the usage, okay, they solved the issue, and then did the usage go down? So, basically we're looking for that story of when did the problem start, when did the problem end, and where's the documentation that tells us the problem started and that the problem was repaired? And if that doesn't happen, we're not even going to entertain a request in-house if it's under $2,000. and we're not going to give you as a commission a request. And, you know, I can speak to that because it actually happened multiple times this week. I had an issue where a ratepayer was dealing with a clog in the like condenser, their AC unit, the condenser line, and they talked about how they had a clog in the condenser line. There was a buildup of water, and I said, "Well, geez, I've never done an adjustment for a clog. It's always been for a leak. We don't do clogs, we do leaks." And then I looked at their usage, and I said, "Well, your usage is just steady across the board. There was no spikes up and down." So I said, "Unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do." And then I had one just literally before I left the office today, where someone had a leak in, I guess, behind the wall of their shower, the valve behind the wall, and they just shut the valve off, and they had some damage with their wall and whatnot, but they haven't fixed it yet. They just closed the valve and stopped using it. And I said to them, well, listen, you know, your leak is over $3,000. Your bill is over $3,000. I see that your usage has stopped. So tell me, you know, how did you fix this? And they said, geez, I haven't fixed it yet. I brought out a plumber. They quoted me like $3,000. It didn't seem right. And I said, yeah, it may not be, because a lot of times, you know, like something more involved, like an under the ground leak between the house and the water pit is like maybe a $3,000 repair. That seems a lot. Maybe you want to shop around. But I told them, I said, you know, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to go to the commission and say, hey, they had this leak, but they haven't repaired it yet, and here's their email describing it. I'm like, I need the exact proof that this was repaired. So, you know, to answer your question, there's nothing in writing, but, you know, as a tax collector, my mindset always is, you know, you have to have an end and a beginning, and you know, you get audited. So you have to have a story that tells you how it happened and how it was fixed. And if that's not there, then we just say, sorry, we can't help you, or you have to fix the problem or come back to us with the documentation.
If we were going to turn that, someone was going to turn that into a written policy, who would it be? Would it be?
Well, I think it might, so that's one of the reasons why I was interested in having David come in, is to explain that whole process to us. And thank you very much for doing this for all of the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I think it's on us to come up with that policy for him to execute. And I would actually, personally, my preference would be to come up with that policy and then not do any of these over any amount of.
And can I explain quickly, just because I've never been able to, I've never been to these meetings, but,
Right. So
the reason why it's in our office right now is we had an opportunity about 4 or 5 years ago where so my office, I've been here for 9 years, and I can't even tell you how far back it goes, but before my time, the tax collector's office has always collected the sewer use and sewer assessments. We just collected the revenue, but it was always that's all we did. So if someone came into our office with a problem, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like good customer service, because really all we said was, sorry, we can't help you. All we can tell you is this is what you owe. This is when it's due. If you feel like your bill is too high, go to this building and figure out what your problem is. Didn't feel great. And then we had an opportunity where there was a vacancy where previously the sewer clerk was in the Public Works Department in this building, and I said, well, why don't we bring it into my office? Because I was communicating with this individual before they left all day, every day. It's almost like, they should be in my office, because after all, they're doing the job of, managing the sewer bills that we collect. And really, there's no one in the sewer department that would be working with them day to day with the actual collection. So I worked with Public Works. We brought it into my office with the understanding that the position was paid 80% out of WPCA, 20% out of tax, because the great situation is sewer is due in October and April. the majority of taxes are due in July and January, so that individual is also helping us with property taxes in the off months. And the great thing is now people come into Old Town Hall, the other building, and they're scratching their head saying, why is my bill so high? I have no idea. And instead, we don't just send them packing to another building, just even more confused. We say, okay, hang tight. We're going to look up your water bill. We're going to figure out what's going on. And then all of a sudden a light bulb goes on. Oh yeah, I had a leak last year. And we go, yeah, your usage spiked last February. Oh yeah, I had a running toilet. And then, we go from there, and then it's like one-stop shopping. And, they don't walk away frustrated. They get answers right away. So it's been really nice in the sense that for the past 4 or 5 years, all of the residents in Fairfield that are connected to the sewer system, they're getting this like immediate customer service. And because the other issue was, okay, sure, you just have to walk down, the driveway to this building, but also, really when it was through Public Works, you had one individual that was doing this process, and, if they were out sick or whatever, it just, you're out of luck. And so now we have myself overseeing a sewer clerk in the tax office, and what I found for the most part is if it's a collection month, either myself is available or the clerk's available, and customers are not left in the dark.
Right.
So I think it's been very successful.
Yeah,
in the past
me too.
couple
And
years.
I was maybe the only person on Ron and I were both on the board when we were doing the approvals for anything, like even if it was like a $5 or $10 adjustment type of thing. And
Yep.
I just remember how painfully not good use of our time it was to basically, you did all the work.
Yes,
and
so-
we just had to approve it.
So another component to that was in 2022, I recommended increasing to $2,000, mainly because what happened was, obviously the rate goes up every year, but we were in a given month, like say October or November, when the bills are issued, we were handing this commission over 30 adjustments in a given month. And that just, that's a high number. And, my feeling is definitely, the high adjustments over $2,000. I agree, it should be seen by the commission. It's a high amount, so it should just be vetted and say, okay, this is a high amount, we need to know what's going on. But anything less than that, it seems more efficient to do it in-house because of the numbers that we were dealing with. And I'm finding usually when it's under 2,000, it's something simple like a running toilet. It's not like a bigger, complicated issue, so.
So we crafted a written policy based on the start and ending of the process. Can we then authorize him to do everything below $2,000?
I was gonna, well, that's already the case.
That already was approved.
Then-
I was actually gonna take it, I
The other
would
way.
prefer to take it a step further and just say, if we have a written policy, don't come in front of us for anything. Like, I mean, as long as he's following the policy, why do we
So
need
no-
to? He's doing all the work
Even
anyway.
above $2,000.
I don't feel the need to see any of these sewer
mean, I'm
systems.
Something in our rules that require the commission to
I'm
render.
comfortable with that if we had that policy that
Right,
said,
exactly.
here's how we do the adjustment, so why have a dollar
Right.
threshold?
Yeah, exactly. I
You're
mean,
gonna know that there was an opening, an investigation, and a close to the store.
yeah,
So we just have to come up with a policy, and then
That's-
it's all in your
Right.
department.
The $2,000 more was because when I started this, there was always a policy that said $1,000. And I said, well, I never thought of getting rid of it. I just said, well, let's increase it because it's a burden on the commission it just seems excessive to oversee 30 adjustments in that type of format. So,
but I just, I mean, and again, I'm one member, so if others feel differently, by all
Totally
means.
get it. So-
I just don't think that we need to be involved in that, other than setting the policy. But we don't actually have to be the ones that are actually reviewing these, and, I mean, David's already doing all the review.
You already
and
have the manpower with
and
the
the
eyes on the
approvals,
case.
and then we just rubber stamp it. I don't think we need to rubber stamp anything, as long as we.
yeah, and we do have a process in place where the full-time sewer clerk, she's doing the process from beginning to end, and then I'm kind of like, to oversee.
Right.
We have a process where I have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
So it's not like one person just having free reign.
Right.
Yeah.
But So yeah, you're already doing the QC on the whole
So
vetting
I'm,
process.
yeah,
and then we're
I'm
just another
essentially
layer.
the
I don't think we need to be
commission.
that other
Yeah,
layer.
yeah, I'm basically the commission for under 2,000.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
We write up the policy, we can vote on it and wish
So-
David well.
So I would,
Back to being, yeah,
I would have some questions about materiality.
okay.
So, and you may or may not know these numbers, you may or not know these numbers, but how material are these refunds to the overall operating budget? And does that materiality change over time? Right, so one idea to build on yours would be to say, okay, we've got a baseline, it's a certain percentage of, below this percentage is normal and customary, you manage it within the guidelines. But maybe once a year, you give us an update and says, okay, it ticked up or it ticked down. You know, you don't necessarily have to come, it just has to be something that we review. And if there's a break from trend, that would be a good time to discuss it.
Yeah,
Does that kind of make some
makes
sense?
sense.
So
By materiality, are you talking like basically just year over year trends, like how?
Yeah.
The impact on the
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah,
and we can give those numbers. So I mean, I can pull reports that give those numbers. Then also I have my clerk take every single signed off adjustment, whether it's an add or just a reduction or even a removal. And she'll put that onto a spreadsheet. And then I actually have her do that because I always say, well, the commission could ask at any time.
right.
You know, what is the impact? So I always tell her we need to be working on that spreadsheet because there's any given month, you as a commission might say to us, hey, what's the impact? So we can certainly, you know, she's working on that right now. She's just a little backlogged from October was a very busy month with sewer collections, but I'll have her put that report together and then we can certainly report that impact.
Because I don't know if this is like the tiniest little rounding error or if it actually has some materiality.
And some of it is, you know, we're obviously doing adjustments that reduce, but we're also doing adjustments that increase too. You know, new properties and things of that nature.
I would want to separate those, that would. I would-
Yes, yeah,
would offset 'em,
we'll
yeah.
make clear that, you know.
I would welcome that. I do like the idea of a professional team managing
Yeah, I agree.
each one case by case.
Ron?
Yeah, I also wanted to add to that is, I've been on the commission for a while now. And we work with Aquarium also for the adjustments based on the one-time shot. So that we do it and so does Aquarium. Because they gave me a one-time shot from the town of Fairfield and from the Aquarium. So I think if that's the case, we probably want to see the ones that are the exceptions that we're, giving them, well, with the tolerance there of how far down you go. But I think we have to not address, but keep the what ifs off so that we're not going to confuse it with the normal, some toilets running or got a leaky sink or whatever. It's my 2 cents is 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you know it's right. You just look at it, give it a cursory look, and rubber stamp it. Versus the 20%, which we had one guy down in Southport that was watering his lawn from December to April. So he came in here asking, he had like about $6,000 bill. In fact, it was that movie star that built their house down there on the water. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Do we actually have a one-time?
So, yeah, I was gonna say, I wanted to speak to that just because I know that was discussed last meeting. So the only issue I have with the one-time adjustment is an aquarium bill, a water bill is very different from a sewer bill in the sense that a water bill is very much like it's like a true utility bill in you're billing the person that's physically using the water. And Aquarian, I assume, just like an electric company might be sending shutoff notices for non-payment. So sewer bill is a little different. I can never send a shutoff note. You can't shut off sewer. I can't send a shutoff notice and I'm always gonna bill the owner on record not the person that's physically using the sewer system. So right there, that's my issue with the one-time adjustment is I have no way to track who the tenant is if the tenant has changed. But what I can guarantee to all of you is I'm billing the owner on record, and if they don't pay, regardless of whatever agreement they have with their tenant, sometimes the tenant pays it directly to us, even though it's not in their name. And they'll say, oh, put the bill in my name. And I say, well, we need your tenant to authorize that. And even then, we're just putting it in care of their name and the owner's name still stands. Because what I can guarantee to you is if they don't pay by the end of the fiscal year, we're filing a lien. And then you're guaranteed to get paid when they refinance, sell, et cetera. Or, which I've done in the past is the last couple of years, we've done tax sale foreclosures where we've primarily, we're focusing on big items like if someone owes, a large amount of delinquency on their real estate taxes, will include the sewer use. So off the top of my head, last fiscal year, we collected over $50,000 in sewer use delinquency. So yes, we're not, we're guaranteed to get paid because we're not doing a shut-off notice because we can't obviously, but we're filing liens. So in the end, we will, we're guaranteed payment. But the issue with the one-time adjustment is I have no way of tracking. And then if you have a landlord that there was an issue, a leak with their tenant, and then maybe 5-6 years later, they have a different tenant and they have a leak, that's a hard sell for me to tell them, hey, sorry, remember you had that adjustment 6 years ago, but now you have a different tenant. But also what I find is I really can't, off the top of my head, think of an instance in the 5 years that I've been doing this where I'm getting these repeat offenders where they had an adjustment last year and they're asking for it this year too. It's usually, even when it's those situations where it's a leak that's not occurring outside of the home, where it's like a running toilet, for the most part, people they don't realize they flush their toilet, they walk away, they don't realize it's still running, or they don't realize that the water is leaking from the tank into the bowl. It's usually just an honest issue that they didn't realize happened, and when it goes on for a month, it triples their usage, and they just want to get it fixed and rectified. But I'm not finding people looking for multiple adjustments within a 2 or 3 year time period.
That's good. That's really good.
So thanks for doing that.
I was going to say, other than the leaking toilets also, those leaks behind the wall, those actually aren't even making its way into the sewer system anyway. So, it's obviously water being used, even if it's wasted, but it's not actually impacting our system in any way, shape, or form, so.
And even, I just want to clarify, the leaky toilet, that's clean water going in. It's not,
Basically I.
yeah, it's not as demanding as, pure wastewater.
No.
And that's, that ends up being the issue we find like 9 out of 10 times because it's just, it's like the hidden it's something that people just don't notice readily, like say a leaking kitchen faucet or,
The idea I proposed about just sort of reviewing the materiality, I think we could review that here. But if you're already reviewing that in another forum, like maybe the Board of Finance, I would be fine with that too, as long as it's reviewed somewhere, if that makes sense.
I think it would be helpful. I like the idea of it getting in front of us, whether or not David actually presents it.
like I said, we've always been preparing it year after year.
Right.
Just so that it's there and, and I do give all kinds of numbers to Michelle, but it's there so that you in case you ask for it, we can say, okay, here's here's the adjustments that we've done over the last 3 months and here's the impact.
And we go over all the numbers during the annual budget process anyway, so I think that's a good number to.
But we'll keep track of it every month just so that if you want to see it beyond just during the budget time, if, hey, it's November, tell us what happened over the October billing, we'll have that so that you can see it.
Right.
So we used Kings Highway as a case to explain the process. Do you want to go through each one of these?
I think we have to because there were over 2,000.
So we have to make a decision on A.
Yeah, because we rejected that last month, right? Since nobody was here to discuss it, so.
So for me, hearing that about the third repair and because the curve,
Yeah.
it was a 6-month kind of declining trend. And the repair receipts, the 2 receipts that were in the pack last time didn't really explain that 6-month trend.
Yes,
But
correct.
you adding this third repair, I feel a lot more comfortable with
Yeah,
that.
so the third repair and then the usage went down even further post third repair, so.
And since you've been reviewing these for 5 years, this didn't set off any surprises or concerns?
No, I mean, there's no history with this property. Like this is, in my time, this is the first request they've made. So,
So I made the motion to reject it last time. I'm happy to make a motion to approve it this time.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Approved. 65 Rogers Road.
all right, so 65 Rogers, in this situation, again, it was the toilet, they had a toilet flapper replacement, and this was one where they kind of let go for a while, but in the usage here, it carried all throughout last winter, but then they fixed it in middle of October. And then, so just in this past month, their usage recorded in September was 24 CCF, and then it reduced down to 10 the following month. So I recommend that one for an adjustment as well, because the repair was done, I believe it was, it was done in early October, and then the usage, dropped dramatically, so.
Motion?
It took them 10 months to do the repair.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
Unfortunately, that actually is a common occurrence, because again, I don't know if it's just you flush your toilet and you walk away, or you just don't notice it's leaking into the bowl, but
Just a waste of water.
the toilet repairs just, for whatever reason, they go undetected for a while.
Yeah.
Well, so we've got to get through those
Motion to approve 65 Rogers Road for.
But then, but no, you bring up a good point though. So, I mean, ultimately, I'd like to get all of these off of our
I agree.
agenda. But if you feel strongly about like not approving something like that, we have to set rules that will change
I
the
think
way David.
I don't know, it just
is
seems to me, I'm like,
So-
our billing period is what, January through April? Is that correct? It's like 4 months, I think, or like our average that we use is 4 months. And then they get it repaired in October. So now all of a sudden we have most likely a year of water going into
Well-
our system from a leaky toilet. And we're not even, so it's like,
I think what happens is, if they're not physically detecting the issue, they're also not physically seeing it on their bill, because the problem is we're billing them for, we're sending a bill in October for an issue that could have happened like 10 months ago. And they may not see it. And I always discuss this to them, because they'll challenge me and say, well, why is this so high? And I said, well, didn't you look at your water bill? But they'll see that their water bill, which is billed monthly, not once a year like us, they'll go, oh, it went up like $30, $40 a month. And I'm like, but when you add it up every single month, that's a lot. But then they'll also say, oh, well, I'm on auto pay and it's a monthly bill, so I just didn't even think anything of it. But because Aquarian is billing in a much different fashion than us, it's like an instant bill that's on a monthly basis. It's not like a bill that like hits you in the face like our bill does.
good.
So it's kind of like, unfortunately, what might be happening coming down the pipeline, which is reval for property taxes is in motion, and everyone is going to get their notice from the assessor that explains what their new assessment is in December. But for some that are very savvy, they're going to look at it and say, okay, I'm going to talk to the reval company, because they're allowed to do that, or appeal their assessment. Others will just wait until July when they see their bill, and then they hit the floor and say, oh my God, look at this increase. So it's kind of like that. You don't really address it until you physically get this bill 10 months later. You're like, oh my God.
I
what
agree,
is
but
this?
for the taxes, when you miss the boat, you miss the boat. You ain't going back.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, it's leaking. Water's still down our pipes.
Yep. No, I hear you.
You know, because if someone comes in for the taxes and says, oh yeah, well, my bill's way too high, what's going on? You're gonna say, well, you were sent your reval, you didn't argue it, you didn't come in with a specified time and argue it.
Yeah, I guess in theory.
I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I would love to come in
I
and
guess the
argue my
only,
taxes
I guess
every
the only
year.
difference there is you're getting a water bill, but it's not from the town. Like the town's not sending any notice in advance that kind
I
of.
understand, no, and I completely understand where you're coming from. It just bothers me, and I don't want to keep kicking a dead horse here, but it just bothers me where it's like, the water's still going down, it's a waste of water, it's just every day, like, you gotta take care of your house. Why are we the ones that are kind of like?
And I get a mix of everything. I get people that just wait until they get the bill. I get people that call me and say, I had a leak. And I said, well, they're already like 5-6 months ahead of the game and they're already, showing me something, but.
And I think kind of like we've always have approved them. I think it's really good to put a policy in place, but it's like, kind of like, we don't really deny them. I think Ted was the first one that denied one last year, last month.
I didn't know I was the
The
first
new guy, so it was the first one ever that
Y'all-
denied one.
Y'all let me just go right
This is
down
what
that path.
happened. But I'll put a motion to approve the sewer adjustment 65 Rogers Road. Keep it moving.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, 65 is approved.
I do think that there's a basis for a rule out of what you just said, though, which is, it might be that we have and we'll want your feedback, of course. We're gonna cap adjustments at 3 months or 4 months, right? So you pick the 3 highest months, whatever, but,
It's not a bad idea.
there has to be some way to deal with what you're saying without necessarily retroactively applying it to this
Although
this case.
So playing devil's advocate on that, it sounds like a lot of them come once people get their sewer bill.
Yeah.
So
Which is late.
it's not
Twice a
necessary,
year.
so are we talking, is the cutoff 3 months from when you get the bill? Or is it 3 months from the incident, or?
Actually, I was on a slightly different point, which is if they let it go for 8 months and then, they get their tax bill and they're like, oh, now I'm gonna fix it. Do we really want to give them the credit for 8 months worth of leakage?
Versus
Or
just.
do we say, hey, it's 3 or 4 or 6, but some
Right.
cap?
Where you do a 6-month cap and go from there.
I mean, normally
Yeah,
what
we
we
almost-
what we do in that case, since we don't have like when you have like a single spike month, the easiest thing to do is just to eliminate that month, and then take the average of the 4 months and then turn that into the 5th month. If it's like it's a elongated spike, then we usually try to take like the average of the previous 2 years, but then we're still utilizing the current rate.
Or you just take the average of not the previous 2 years, but you only go 6 months back and take the average, so then you would still get caught up. Because if you're taking the average of last year, maybe you say, well, I'm just gonna take an average of
Yeah, I mean,
months and.
if it's something where they're like the spike continued through the entire time, we try to use the average of the previous years only because like we're really supposed to adhere to those winter months. Like we don't
That's what.
we don't touch
I
the
don't know.
summer time, obviously.
So maybe we just sort of set this aside as something to
Yeah,
think about when we.
we're not setting the policy today because it's not on the agenda.
Right,
But
but if-
but since we have David here,
Yeah.
I kind of like the discussion about it.
Yeah, if there's some data that tells us that's a good idea, we can talk more about it. If the data says it's a non-issue, then we shouldn't spend.
You know,
time on
what I'm finding is because we're always utilizing the current rate and we're utilizing things like taking the average instead of a spike month or taking the average of previous years, they're usually never getting like a reduction from the previous year. Because the previous year, they didn't have any issues. And then we're using like for the most part, what they used in those previous years, but we're using the current rate. So it's not, they're just getting a reduction from the spiked bill. They're not getting a reduction from previous years.
it. That makes sense. Makes a lot
So
of
we
sense.
try to keep it fair in that regard.
Right.
Yeah.
Good discussion.
So Rogers is done. Now we go to Shady
We're
Hill.
on, 112 Shady Hill.
All right, so 112 Shady Hill Road, in this situation, it looks like they had their spigot to their outdoors. The pipe burst and then it was capped by their plumber and repaired. And there was a couple, the month of January and February had an excessive spike, so we eliminated those 2 months and did the average of the other 3 winter months there.
Motion to approve the sewer adjustment for 112 Shady Hill Road.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous? All right, 51 Old Mill Road.
All right, 51 Old Mill. This one, they had a break in their main line in the winter months of December and January. That was repaired. Then they had a break in their irrigation system in April. That was also repaired. So then we did an adjustment that took the, I believe it was the average of the previous couple of years. But they did provide receipts for both the repair of the main line as well as the repair of the irrigation system. And again, just to clarify, so the spike in April, it's listed as May of 2025, but again, that's because what Aquarian does, they read the April usage on, say, like May 4th or May 5th, but it's primarily the usage that was occurring in April. So it would be part of our calculation.
Motion to approve the sewer adjustment for 51 Old Mill Road.
Second.
All in favor? Approved.
$7,500 bill got their attention though.
Which one?
Old Mill. Yeah, the next one.
Oh, yeah, 232 Lucille Street. Yeah,
No, Old Mill was 7,500, yeah, right.
yeah, so the next, we're on.
Yeah, we're on
All
232
right.
Lucille.
Yeah, so this one's a little interesting. So in this case, long story short, what appears happened is, so the current owner purchased the property in October of 2021, and it seems like there was a leak in the main line going from the pit to the house for basically probably before they even purchased the property. So there is, I mean, excessive usage dating back to October of 2021, because for this particular owner, I pull up their usage dating back to November of 2021, which is around their first initial usage after they purchased. And, a residential property like this, they were using anywhere from like over 30 to 40 CCF in a given month, for every single month leading up until the present. And they discovered that they did have a break in their line, and it's still relatively new, but it was just fixed October 15th of this year. And their usage went from the previous month, that was 66, down to 39. So, I mean, I just threw this out there for you guys as a suggestion, because typically, as collector, I have the ability to enforce sewer usage just like I have the ability to enforce property taxes. So the understanding was always there's only ever a 3-year window of credits and adjustments, because any credit beyond 3 years, essentially you could have a credit on your car tax, house tax, and if it's beyond 3 years from the due date, it's cheated back to the town. Like you can't recover it. So I told this individual, there's no promises, but I can request an adjustment for the previous 3 years.
I think that's fair.
And again, that flow, if it was never came into the system.
So yes, we're looking, yes,
I
correct.
agree with you with looking back 3 years. I think that's a good way to look at it. And same
one
with
of these.
taxes and,
One of these a couple of years ago too, where we did the same thing.
motion to approve 232 Lucille Street North.
So just
Second.
before, so when I put this down here, there's like 3 different options.
Oh.
I don't know if we just say a motion to approve option 1 if we're doing the 3-year
What would you do
Just
as a tax collector?
I mean, I would just,
What
Because-
option? What do you go with?
I would do option one,
And that is,
3-year adjustment.
is doing the 3-year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
just because one, I can't go beyond that, and two, I mean, it's clear that there was an issue that was, like you said, usage that was excessive usage, but it was never going into the system, it was going into the ground, so.
I withdraw my motion. And I make a second motion to approve option one for the 3-year adjustment for 232 Lucille Street North.
Seconded.
All in favor? Approved. Procedurally, did we have to vote on his first one or no? Yeah,
Was it seconded?
Yeah, it was.
it was,
It was.
but we didn't vote on it. I don't know if that matters.
Then you withdrew
I
it.
withdrew it before.
So,
So
oh, so we don't
I
have to
don't
vote
think you
on
have
it
to
then?
vote on it because
Yeah.
it was withdrawn.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice job.
thank you, it was very helpful, David.
Very helpful.
Thank you for managing all this. This is,
Honestly, it makes my life easier just because it was tough to, send residents away and not have immediate answers. And it's really working. I think it's very helpful to the residents to have that peace of mind that if they have an issue, the bill is telling them, pay the tax collector. So they're coming to us as it is.
Right.
And I can't tell you how frustrating it was in the past for people to, and it could be a senior on a fixed income and they are used to paying $150 when it used to be that flat rate. And all of a sudden they get a bill for $1,000 because they had that issue. And they come into our office and they're in a panic because, they're not budgeted for $1,000. And then we're just told, hey, can't help you, go, and then maybe they've never been to this building because for the most part, people come into Old Town Hall to, register to vote, pay their taxes, get their dog license. And then they're told, hey, walk down this driveway, come to this building, and they're in a panic already because they already know they have this $1,000 bill they can't afford. And so instead, they come into our office and they're just given an answer right away. They have that peace of mind that, hey, okay, we get you have this problem, but we'll look into it right now and we'll figure out what the issue is. So,
I think that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
And doing it in a way that consumes, least amount of town resources for the value at stake, and good customer service, and consistency.
I am, because before I was collector for the town of Fairfield, I was the revenue collector for the town of Berlin. And there we collected water, sewer, and we actually physically pulled the numbers too. We didn't just, pull a report from the private water company. So, I'm very familiar with this process, but same thing, it was all in-house where if someone said, geez, I had a leak, what do I do? It was all like through our office because we were getting the numbers from our water commission, so.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to know somebody watches our YouTubes of our meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my car ride in. I don't listen to podcasts. I listen to WPCA.
But in terms of setting a policy, I mean, we don't have an easy job here because you guys even wanted to set a time limit, but then on that last one, we just approved a 3-year.
Yeah, but that wasn't going into our system.
I know.
It's a little different when it goes into our system.
You can run the ad hoc subcommittee to come up with the.
And also, there's something that Dave educated me on today, that there was the topic of greenhouses or nurseries that came up during last month's
Right.
meeting. And back in 2022, I learned that was a point of discussion at
Yeah.
a commission meeting. But
And we
not all
had-
members may be
we have-
aware of it.
I think 2 or 3 property owners who came every year in front of us to do that.
Said,
Do
why are
not
you
do
coming
this
to us?
ever again.
Talk to the tax assessor and figure it out.
I haven't.
Tax collector, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I own
I'd-
property in another town.
I'd be comfortable not even having a rule, just it's discretionary to the tax collector. Why do we need to?
Crazy,
put
right
in?
away.
That's,
As long as we're comfortable with the tax collector.
right, exactly.
And because everything's computerized today, it's pretty
discussion.
easy.
Yeah.
Maybe we should put it on the agenda for like the next
They
meeting
charge
or
50 cents
a
a
Discussion.
quiet
water, and
meeting.
you
If we have a
charge
quiet agenda, maybe we could
10 cents for
discuss the
sewer,
new
they cents
policy.
over the
It's far better.
I think it's worth
My
discussing.
bill went crazy, and they see it monthly, and you don't have all these adjustments.
Okay.
Something to think about.
Moving on, operational status updates. Number one, compliance, annual nitrogen O&M survey.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. You don't have to listen to us tomorrow morning. Music. You listen to music now.
Maybe I'll have to listen to the rest of the meeting, but. That's right, yeah, I'll listen to some music, that sounds. Have a good night.
You too.
Just a quick update. We submitted the mandatory yearly nitrogen survey that Connecticut Deep puts out. Those who are in the nitrogen program have a limit, and they reconfigure the credits every year between buyers and sellers. And part of that information gathering process is they ask plants to give electric usage, cost, training, man-hours, salaries, all that's chemical usage,
Disposal.
and sludge disposal, which was just added this year for us, which is kind of bittersweet. But anyway, we compile that information, send it back to them in Excel form, and they will go through it with everybody and kind of readjust the credits for buyers and sellers for next year. Our limit is 406 pounds. It's all part of keeping the process, the bugs happy, the right atmosphere, the right amount of, and when you have excessive flows like we did January, February, March, and April, there just was not enough time, which why we ended up paying for the first time in 25 years, so. But that's done every year, so if anybody wants to see it, I'll be more than happy to send it to you.
Any questions, comments? All righty. Item number two, Durrell Drive Pump Station.
It's finally ours. Finally.
Ninth pump station.
We were anticipating this. We had a new control panel, a up-to-code control panel and line-in box put in. Our guys put it in. So we have an alarm system now. We ordered 2 pumps. It's a company that I kind of engaged a year and a half ago, and they were willing to give us a 15% discount from the get-go. Didn't have to ask, didn't whatever, so we've ordered new pumps, and we will just keep updating and bettering as we go along. So,
Questions, comments? All right. Item number 6, capital improvement projects updates. Item number 1 is the Fairfield Beach Pump Station 30% design with our guest Mega Jane from engineering. And do I clarify that? So Mega is going to give a presentation, and then board members, we can ask questions, we can do Q&A, and then I'll have an opening for public comment. It is not public Q&A, so you can comment. We're not doing questions and answers. So take it away, Meg.
Okay, so hi everyone. Good evening, the members. So today why I'm here, so let's start with that. The reason me being here is that we are at the 30% design for Fairfield Beach Pump Station. We have not reached to further than 30% yet. So today we are seeking the board members' choice on the 3 architectural options that will be presented after my brief background and the reason for elevating the pump station structure at the height of 18 feet. So let me share my screen with.
how's that, Meg? I already did it. Does that work for you?
Yes. So these are the 3 options, but just to go over the brief overview, John, I didn't give you, but I can share my screen.
Okay, do you want me to stop?
Yeah, stop, and then I'll share my screen. Who is a host Can you allow me for multiple sharing?
Oh, or,
Hold on,
is your
hold on.
mouse working?
Yeah,
do it
I can
now?
share now.
Okay.
So I can just briefly share, just to go over a brief background on this. So just to give a little bit of a brief background, this is what this existing pump station looks like right now. This is, but I will first, let's start with the little bit of background. So the pump station in year 2018 was identified to be severely impacted from flooding, and significant upgrades or replacements are required to protect the station components in the building. So as you can see, the base flood elevation is at 15 on the PowerPoint slide. And this is below base flood elevation. That is a FEMA flood zone requirement for the VE coastal zone. So this is where we are right now. Now to upgrade this facility, this must comply with both VE coastal flood regulations and state grant requirement, since the project is on the Clean Water Fund priority list. You're aware, this is on the fund, we need the fundings, and we have to meet these flood zone regulations. Currently, as shown in the slide, the pump station sits below the base flood elevation of 15 feet. So during 100-year storm event, it would be completely underwater, no choice. So any Hurricane Sandy or anything that comes, this is how it will look. Given its age, this poses a significant risk of operational failure, which could lead to emergency repairs costing the town millions of dollars. To proceed with the upgrade, we must elevate the pump station at least 3 feet above the base flood elevation per VE zone requirements. We had those conversations in the past in 2022 with all the state agencies, and they said that we have to comply. We have no other options but to elevate this building above the base flood elevation, which is 3 feet above 15. We will reach to 18 feet. We will share the renderings showing how it will look. And also to meet the state funding requirement. So we don't have any choice but to elevate and put it at the open foundation. So the renderings that will be shared with you will raise the electrical system. This is a structure that you see, the yellow building, that's electrical, this is where the electrical system is. And under that building, where the concrete foundation, you see those are, if you go down the stairs, those are the wet wells and dry well currently that is residing there. So we will be just elevating that. So this is why I am here, but I will also share some other slides with you. Is it going? So right now, just to give you an overview, because right now we don't have an open foundation, so this whole hydrostatic loads that is put on the foundation that really is resting on the fluid. It's so much of pressure of hydrodynamics and hydrostatic pressure on the foundation that really poses a lot of threat to the structure right now. So that's how it looks as you see on these PowerPoint. I can go in the detail, but this is what happens, the pressure of the water on the foundation. So we technically are putting this on the open foundation, and this is just a plan view that shows, you can see, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but this is like 100 feet. This is where my cursor is. This is the base flood this is a 100-year storm event, which is at 15, and this is a base flood elevation. So we will be actually raising this to this height, which is 18 feet. So you can see that structure is at 18 feet on the support columns, on the support beams. So this is just how it looks, but I can now go to the renderings just to see how the renderings will look. But before we go there, is there any questions on the structural or flood zones or any background questions before we move on to renderings?
So it's just the electrical equipment that needs to be at the 18-foot
Yes.
elevation, right?
Perfect, yeah. And wet wells will be there, and they're just elevating that on the piles, micro piles under, and then columns and the support beams, as we can see here.
Is there gonna be new wet wells installed?
Yes, there will be, right now it's 2 systems, dry well and wet wells. There will be only 1 well with submersible pump, wet well only. There will be no dry well component anymore. So this is how this will look, the structure. If any questions on the background, now we can go to the renderings. I can stop sharing my screen. And then we can go to the renderings. I can share it, John. So this is option number 1. You see how, this is how this building will look. This is just an option 1. Sorry, I should actually. So this is all the side view, front view on this one.
So with it being completely open underneath, where's the electrical actually running to connect to the submersible pumps?
This is all electrical upstairs,
Right.
and then it will, it's a good question, it should be,
Is it buried within the column?
it won't be under the column, it will be underground for sure. All the force main is underground, so it just connects to the wet well, so all that force main part is taken under the slab on the wet well. So I don't think any wirings has to be like, if it has to, with the force main, and if the wirings has to go, it has to just go through the column and then bury it under the ground.
Through the column? Okay.
Yes.
That's the control panels are the elevated piece.
Right,
So
and
Yes.
same with
all the wiring is to go up the
and
column.
the control wires for the level controls and all that would be
So you'll probably have
electrical.
like a pipeline, a couple pipes going up and down, like a couple 4-inch pipes on either side of the columns? Or
Might be right down the middle of the column.
Yeah.
They might just have conduit running right down the
Yeah.
middle of it.
Are you gonna need fencing?
So around the
Not-
exterior, like we do now?
Not if it were locked, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
no, we don't need that for this one because it's a locked wet well
Yeah.
drive.
Secured hatches and locks on the doors, that's all you'd need.
And then also the outlets from the force mains that is going, it's already have that enough air space to take care of.
The exterior would be expected to be some sort of shake material, but weather resistant shake material, or what kind of siding is on that?
The siding material it's not specified, but it just shows that it's just a regular like
Looks like a
Shingles.
cedar shake, but it's
exactly cedar.
weather
Yes,
resistant.
that's what I.
board kind of version.
yeah.
Okay.
They didn't mention the specific material, but this is all I'm assuming. This is like a regular, you see. These are vents here. This is one is a vent for electrical rooms and all these.
So it's just a
buildings.
louvered vent then, that
Yes, yep.
panel? Okay.
So this is one option they have. It's very simple looking, with the concrete painted columns. And they don't have fencing. Right now we have fencing around. We don't have fencing around. Then this is a second option. This looks a little bit more decorative with the bricks on the columns rather than just simple paint. Concrete, it's just that they have covered this with bricks. Everything stays the same, but it's just the bricks here. And then I can also show you the third is same, like third is just enclosure with the vents. With lights.
But the enclosure is set up so that water can pass through it.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Purely
It's like a
aesthetic.
flood vent, yeah. So we have these three options and the options were kept in mind. The factors that were kept in mind when the consultants were doing was to be consistent with the other residential properties at Fairfield Beach that were asked to elevate it above the base flood elevations. So specifically this one, this one, If you go drive around Beach Road, you can see one down the road. It's similar material they have used at the residential building. So they try to mimic that part so that it's consistent and aesthetically it doesn't look like a urban, environment. They wanted to give a residential look and feel to it, and so that it looks like a residential.
How you get the pumps in and out of the chamber?
Oh,
Just a crane in the back of the truck.
And you're able to get the truck in there? So you're not gonna have any hoist or anything underneath that?
Not to my knowledge, anyway.
Is there a steel hatch on the floor that we can't see very well?
yes, yeah, that will be steel.
Is that gonna be above grade? Is that gonna be kind of how it is now, like 4 feet above grade? It's all gonna be at grade?
Yeah, it's like 5 feet above grade. We had to meet the zoning requirement for the slab.
Sorry, wait, John, how'd you say you get the pumps in and out?
Just a crane.
And that's about 18 feet then underneath, so there's
That's 15 feet
15
from the ground to the.
down to the bottom.
Yeah.
Roughly.
So you're like 3 feet above grade? Oh, no, because it's 3 feet
Slightly
above.
raised above grade, the concrete slab mega.
Yes,
Okay.
it's 5 feet above. The slab is
feet.
5 feet above the grade.
What's the elevation there? So it's 3 feet above, it's elevation 3? What's the elevation of the, because I'm assuming your 18 feet is above, mean sea level.
Is above base flood elevation.
So
That's finished floor, that's not bottom of concrete.
Yeah, that's the
100-year flood is
finish.
15 feet.
15
And we
feet,
gotta go
I think
3
so.
feet above
that's
that.
MSL though, the mean sea level, 15 feet mean sea level. Yeah. Or that's 15 feet above the ground.
We're talking 100-year flood, 15 feet above.
I think this will help you. So
Yeah.
this rendering, this sketch will help. So
So it's from the base, from the ground level there is 18 feet to the bottom of the floor.
the
18 feet up.
yes, it's 18 feet. The column. This is where 18 feet actually hits the bottom of the.
So it's not 18 feet above zero, like mean sea
No.
level. It's like 18 feet
Yes.
off the elevation of the ground.
It's okay. So this is okay. Let me go over this. So technically, these are micro piles under this. This is 14 feet down the ground. And this is how I'm understanding. So this micro piles over here, there's another piles over here, which is technically 14 feet just below the ground. But as you hit this ground, this is almost like you're going 15 feet, 15 or maybe 16 feet here, 15 feet, this is a level, and then above 3 feet. So it's not technically going under the ground, but from this ground level, you are going technically 15 feet up till the support column. And then 8 feet high is your height of the structure.
So what's the height between the top of the wet well cover and the bottom of the slab for the electrical room?
That should be 14, they're saying minus 14 feet, that the wet.
Sorry,
well.
not in the wet well. No, I'm trying to figure out how much clearance there is from the bottom of the building to, I want to know how much space
column?
you have to pull the pumps out.
Okay, so that should be, wait a minute, let me check the elevations, just hold on. So you mean from here to here, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that should be at least 18 feet.
Okay.
This is 18 feet total. Because the structure is at 18 feet, it hits that bottom of the support columns, I would say 18 feet.
Okay.
Because they're rising, they're putting on this pile 18 feet, but structure itself is another 8 feet high.
Okay. How big are the pumps? Like how heavy?
Yeah.
How to-
We have to see, they have.
Do we have sufficient space to pull? Yeah. And they're on guide rails and stuff? Okay.
We've got a crane on one of our trucks just for doing
It fits under there, though?
No.
Yeah, okay.
So the 10-year elevation,
100 years.
sorry, 100-year elevation flood is 15.
Yes,
You gotta be 3 feet above that.
we have to be 3 feet above, so that's why we are
That's-
meeting that goal.
But just, I don't know if I'm missing something, but that's 15, like elevation 15. So above mean
15
sea
feet
level
above.
is 15.
I think that's
Is
right.
that correct? Because when you're looking at this here,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get my
Yep.
numbers
Yep,
right here. So you got your 100-year elevation 15.
Yes.
So that's 15 feet above mean sea level, MSL.
no,
No.
that is just at the base flood elevation at mean
So
sea level.
You have 15 feet from here to whatever elevation.
No. So it's actually, when the way the FEMA defines it from the ground level is 15 feet. That's where that's where the water will come to that level. That's the level that this structure can get flooded
So above
at.
the ground, the
Yes.
FEMA says, okay, above ground, the water can get 15 feet higher than.
No,
So
No.
I'm just trying to figure out how, because when you have elevation 15, I'm always thinking that elevation.
Don't think elevation.
So you're-
15 feet above ground level.
yeah,
Okay, so then it's 18 feet from here to here.
yes,
18 feet off
correct.
the ground.
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Can you put it to mean high water, please? What's the elevation of mean high water? Not ground. What is mean high water? How high is the building going,
So
regardless where you are on the beach?
so the reference,
Hold on.
But it's, well, it's,
Mean
yeah.
high water, then go up. So where are we for that structure, please?
so you can refer to sea level, the reference you can take as sea level references. You can make the references. There's so many datums to make the references. I will go by the datum as I'm understanding, NAVD 88. I don't know the specific number if he's mentioning to what refer the number. That's what his question is. You can refer to 0, sea level, and then you just go from there to the flood, which is 15, which is the base flood elevation set up by FEMA, where this is where it gets flooded.
Either way, because of clean water funding and everything else, just with the state, you have to be at 18 feet above.
So this is 500, so 100-year storm is 15 feet. This is base flood elevation. But FEMA for VE coastal zone, we have to meet 500-year storm. So what happened is BFE plus 2 or plus 3. But in this case, we have to meet the 500-year storm, which is 15 plus 3, which is 18. So we are meeting 500-year storm event. And 100-year storm event, which is at the base flood elevation 15, that's where the FEMA is saying, okay, 15 plus 3 or plus 2. They are requiring us to do plus 3.
Mega, this is Michael O'Donnell, 67 Old Dam Road, also an engineer. Thank you very much for your very complete presentation. That's directly across the creek from me. I'm looking at it right now. And one of the things I'd like to know
Yeah,
is,
excuse me, Michael, this is, it's comment only from public. It's not a Q&A with the public.
I just heard somebody in the public ask a question at the meeting. didn't I?
Well, I apologize, you shouldn't have, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off now. I'll police this better. So, if you have a comment, please continue, but if it's a question,
Okay,
email it.
I would like to make my comment.
Okay.
All right, so Mega, you stated that that this was flooded in 100-year event. I was sitting right here at Hurricane Sandy, and it wasn't. It filled up with, raw waste, but it didn't flood. And you also said that FEMA set that map. No, they didn't. Jim Wendt did. So let's work on honesty. We do have a standards clause, okay? Thank you.
All right. Commission members, any additional questions?
None for me.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Any additional public comments?
Be happy to join in, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Should I take the mic or stand here?
Whatever you prefer.
Yeah, so Greg Sargent, I'm 1609 Fifth Beach Road. I'm across the road from the pump house, apparently the other side of what this gentleman just talked about. I would concur that it never flooded. That thing has never flooded. So we are preparing, I suppose, for what may happen in the future. But to that gentleman's comment, we should be clear to the record, it's never flooded. I'm across the street from it. My house never flooded. So let's just be clear on that. What we're doing is preparing for what may happen in the future. My second comment is not a question. Comment is, I'd like to see better elevations relative to mean high water. So when I look at what the data is, not your base flood, tell me what I'm going to view across from my house relative to mean high water.
The elevations they're referring to is from 1988 datum.
Yes, it is NAVD 88 datum. This elevation is based on NAVD 88 datum, so anything that if you follow 1946 datum, then it will be a different altogether because you're subtracting 13.48. I'm not sure how much, 12 or 13 feet down, then this will completely change. So we are just referring to that datum in this.
Right. Yeah, I'm not objecting. I'm just saying that, so when you show your structure here, tell me what your mean high water baseline is, your grade is, and what your lower structural member is, and how high the structure will be in total. That's number two. Number three is that the way it works right now is frequently when the DPW comes to work on the structure, the fence is an obstruction, so they can't go into the actual property. So it's a good idea you pull the fence out, for sure. But make sure there's access way for the workers, town workers, to go under that building and get it off the road, because they park on the road, and that just makes a choke point of things. So I think this needs some work, and I'm happy to work with the commission here and you also, anyone. But in general, I'm not opposed. I think we're kind of roughly wasting taxpayer dollars building for a 5-year storm. That's not really my point. If you're gonna do it, then do it in consideration with this gentleman across the creek and me who lives right in front of it, because I can guide you on how it should be designed. And right now, this is kind of incomplete on what elevation the grade should be when it's finished and the elevation of the low structural member when it's finished. Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your comment.
The lowest Torres.
Any additional? Sure.
The pump house was originally built to pump the sewage from Old Dam Road and the old Nike site area across because it was the shortest route to get to the wastewater treatment plant. But just the other side of Pine Creek, if you go back to the other picture, the flood level's at elevation 12. 3 feet lower on a creek that's 200 feet wide. And if you ever got to an elevation 15 flood, it's protected by an elevation 12 dike. It's going over that. It's in the center of town too. And as Greg said, the existing pump house has never flooded. It has a dry area where the maintenance guys can go in and work on the pumps, and then the wet side. I assume you're going to take out the entire foundation and build a new thing. You can't ask questions, but I've spoken to the guys that work on the place, and they say that they're going to have a diver go down in to get to the pumps because everything's going to be below water. It just sounds a lot more expensive to service. And again, not a question, but if you looked at the other side of the creek, it might be cheaper to build one on that side of the pipe.
All right. Thank you for your comments. Any additional public comments? All right, moving on to capital improvement project updates. Item number 2, plant and equipment improvements, phase 1.
So our contract with AECom and Nickerson joint venture was approved by the Board of Selectmen on November 12th. We tentatively have a project kickoff meeting on schedule with the design build team the week of December 8th. The contract hasn't been fully signed and executed yet because we're working with the joint venture to complete business registration and W-9 tax forms.
So you're like
That's
there,
update.
that's it?
We're close.
You're pretty close.
Very close, yeah.
Closest we've ever been.
Wow.
Comments, questions?
Thank you.
Item number 7, public comment and other. Item number 1, charter revisions.
So exciting times for our brand-new utility as of December 4th. So on November 4th, the voters voted for the modifications to the town's charter when it comes to the Water Pollution Control Authority. I think this is a real positive step forward in identifying the specific roles and responsibilities of not only this Board of Commissioners, but also a brand-new department of the town. So as I said, will be known as the Water Pollution Control Utility. The modifications The modifications also identify the position that I'm currently working within, which is the general manager of the utility. It also formally identifies John's position as superintendent of the water pollution control facility, and then also a brand new position, which is a supervisor for our sewer department. And so our utility is now made up of 2 divisions, our sewer department and our WPCF. There will be some changes to our Board of Commissioners. As the charter exists today, our chief financial officer for the town is an ex officio non-voting member of the board. That will continue to exist after the changes take effect on December 4th, but it will allow for that position to identify a designee. It will also allow the general manager of the utility to be a non-voting member of the board. And it also will allow, or actually will require, the town engineer or the town engineer's designee to be a voting member of the board. So that would take effect, somebody in that position when a position vacates, next time the position vacates, which I think is next year.
Any questions? All right. Item number 2, reappointments. I know we just had 2 recent ones, right? Chris and
Yeah,
Alyssa.
so Chris
That's
and
who that
Alyssa,
was about, right?
congratulations. 2029.
You don't want your appointment of the engineering department? You sure you don't want an engineering appointment?
You've been so helpful to our interview committees.
Well, I'd be more than whatever you guys need. Let me know.
We need your
Volunteering.
motions, Chris.
Then we have a brand new appointment in Marcy joining as our newest commission member. Welcome. Thank you. Christine Vitale's former position with us.
And previously served on the RCM? for
I was
8 years?
on the moderator of the RTM the last 2 years before I was appointed to the Board of Selectmen, and I've been on the RTM for almost 8 years prior to being on the Board of Selectmen, so. yeah. So I've done a lot of the budgets and everything for all this, so I'm familiar with that.
We're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And then last but not least would be any additional public comment. All right, hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? All right,
Thanks, Ron.
thank you.
Thank you all.